Hello everyone, hope you all are doing good. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about how to access the elements of a data frame. In the previous videos, we learned how to create the data frames from various elements, and we also learned the properties of a data frame. Today we're going to talk about once you have a data frame in your program, how do you get to the data in your data frame? And there are various ways of accessing the data frame. And the methods that we're going to use are one of the methods that you can see on the screen, either by using the dot operator or using the square bracket or using the LOC attribute or using the ILOC attribute or ILOC we say, and lock attribute and ILOC attribute, or using Boolean indexing. So we'll see each of them in detail. Okay. So moving on to the first one, how do I access the elements of a data frame using the dot operator? Okay. So let's assume this is your your data frame. Okay, that's the data frame, and the data frame that I've got is df. So that's my data frame. Now I want to view only the class column from the data frame. So I've got this data frame either through a dictionary or through a text file or through a CSV file. That doesn't matter. I have a data frame named as df, let's say. Okay, and I wish to view only the class column of the data frame. So I could make use of the dot operator, the name of the data frame dot the name of the column that I wish to see. So I could say print df dot class. Now when I say df dot class, obviously what you expect to see is only the class column. Okay, and that's what you see along with the index labels. Okay, now this was using the dot operator. I could do the same thing using the square brackets as well. Okay, so again the question is the same. I want to view the class column of the data frame. So here what do? We write df in square bracket the name of the column that you wish to see. So the name of the column is class, and again you see the output is the same. Then what is the difference? Now listen to the difference carefully. If you look at your data frame, all the column names are only just one word. Okay, let's assume the roll number column was not called ROLLNO, but it was ROLL space NO. Okay, so it consists of two words making the heading. Then in that scenario, if you have to access roll number, you couldn't be making use of the dot operator. The dot operator only works as long as your column names consist of only a single word. If it consists of more than a word, then you have to make use of the square bracket. Okay, so that's the advantage of using a square bracket. Now, is there anything else? Yes. Using the square bracket, you can access more than one column also at a time. Okay, which you couldn't do using the dot operator. Using the dot operator, if I wrote df dot roll number, print df dot roll number, comma, df dot class, then you would have all the roll numbers shown first and below it the class. It wouldn't look tabular. But I could have a tabular view if I'm using the square bracket. And how do I go about? Look at the next example here. You have to display the roll number and the class, and we're making use of the square bracket. Okay. Now what do? In the square bracket, we put another square bracket, because now we're not only referring to one column, but a list of columns. List always is put in a square bracket, correct? So I write df, mind the two square brackets. Okay. Because we are using, the selection using the square bracket, obviously the square bracket is required, but that was for only one column. But if you have a list of columns, then each of list of columns, list itself is having a square bracket. So you have an inner square bracket and you specify roll number and class, and it shows you roll number and class. This couldn't be done using the dot operator. In the dot operator, what would happen is when you say print df dot class, comma, print df dot roll number, you would have the class first, and below it, after that output, the next output would be the roll number. Clear? So you know when to use the dot and when to use the square brackets. Fine. Okay, now you could also use an attribute called the LOC or the lock attribute. Now, what you need to remember here is the lock attribute, while accessing the elements of a data frame, is using the index labels or the column names. It doesn't really check on what is the location, the default, indexing. Okay, it's using the index labels or the column names that you have given. But in case you have not given an index label, then by default, it will use the numbering that was generated. So in this example that you see here, we do not have an index label. So it's the default numbering, which is 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, but lock works basically on index labels if it has a label. Now, since it doesn't have a label, it works on the default numbering as well. Okay, so now what do I want to do according to this example? I want to return row with label 2. That means I want Rohit's data to be, accessed. How do I do that? I write df.loc because that's the attribute. And for LOC, I'm giving number 2. Now, 2 is not talking about actually, the number 2 in terms of the numbering. It's basically the label 2. Suppose you had Rohit's data as the first record and the label was called 2, it would still show you Rohit's data. Okay, but since we do not have a index label here, it's referring to the numbered label. So it is going to show you Rohit's data, but not in a line, one below the other, telling you each element or each column name and the value associated with it. Clear? Okay, then suppose you want to return, row labels 1 as well as row label 0 as well as 1. Then what do you do? Then what you do is just put 0 and 1 in a list. So it will tell you everything from 0 to 0 as well as 1. So it gives me Pooja's detail as well as Neha's detail. Now it's giving me, row wise is because I'm dealing with 2 people's record. More than 1, it is going to show me in tabular form. 1, it's going to show me in free form. What you just saw previously is called a free form way of display. Okay. Now, what if you want to return row labels from 1 to 3, like a range, like a continuous pattern? Okay, the previous method 0 and 1 also comes under this category, but suppose it was 0 and 3. 0 and 3 are not continuous labels, right? They are discontinuous labels. Then you have to use the previous method. But in this method that we're talking about, if you ever want to see continuous rows, then what do? You will make use of the colon operator. So I write 1:3. So it starts at index label 1 and it goes up till index label 3. Okay, 3 included, because we're not generally, the lock function is not talking about the index numbering, but it's basically the labels that it's talking about or dealing with. So what do you expect to see? Neha, Rohit's and Aman's record, correct? So you have Neha, Rohit's and Aman's record. Okay. This was only about, getting rows. What if you want like a subset in terms of, I don't want all the columns, certain columns. So look here, I want row labels from 1 to 3, but I don't want everything about them. I only want their name and let's say their subject 1. Then what do you do? Just look at the brackets carefully, okay? df.loc definitely, and we had to give the location in square brackets, but can you see I've written 1:4? That means labels, sorry, there is a correction there. It's not 1:4, it's 1:3. Okay, so 1:3. So it gives me all rows from row labeled as 1 to the row labeled as 3. Okay. After that, can you see a comma and name :sub1? That means give me everything from name to sub1. From name to sub1 means give me name, give me class, and give me sub1. And that is what I get. Rows from 1 to 3. Okay, mind you, there's a correction. It's not 1:4, it's 1:3 there. And columns from name to sub1. Okay, now this is about continuous, right? If it was discrete, you would have 1 square bracket, or discontinuous, you would have 1 square bracket giving all the row labels, comma, the other square bracket giving all the column names. Is that clear? Okay. So here, this is discontinuous. I want row labels 1 and 3. and I want columns name and sub1 only, okay, not range, it's just discontinuous ones. So in one square bracket, you write 1, 3. In the other square bracket, you write what you say, name, comma, sub1. Okay, and you get that 1, 3 gives you Neha and Aman, correct? And name and sub1 is what you see on the screen. Clear? Okay, now this was the LOC attribute. I'm taking you to another attribute called the iLoc. There's a major difference between, they work similar, but there's a major difference between loc and iLoc. iLoc is working on the default numbering of the row and the column, not the labels specified, okay? Whereas loc works on index labels and column labels. In this example that we did not have an index label, so it continued with the, the default numbering. Okay, so let's go to iLoc. Suppose you want to display using iLoc some continuous rows. So you write 0:2, 0:3. But now just pay attention. Because it's the default index numbering, like it happens with strings or with list and things like that, you start at 0, but you will not stop at 2. You will stop at 1 less than 2. Similarly, column, you will start at 0 and you will stop at 1 less than 3, which is 2. So which rows do you think you will get? You will get Pooja's and Neha's rows, and in that you'll get roll number. Roll number is at index location 0, name is at index location 1, and class is at index location 2. So you'll get roll number, name, and class. Let's see that. Okay, is that clear? So major difference, one major difference between what you say, loc and iLoc. Very, very important question. Okay, loc refers to the index label or the column names. iLoc refers to the index, which is the default index, or the column numbering, which is also again the default one. Clear? Secondly, when you're talking about a range, I mean, when you're using the colon operator, okay, like we used to do in slicing in list and strings, when you're using that slicing concept, it starts at in loc, it starts at where you said and it stops at where you said, because they're not referring to the index numbering, but the labels. Okay. iLoc, if you're using the slicing method, it starts at where you said, but it will stop at 1 before, the end position. That's the reason 0:2 did not give me rows up to 2, it only gave me up to 1. And 0:3 only gave me 0th column, first column and second column, which is roll number, name, and class in this scenario. Clear? Okay. Now discontinuous. Discontinuous means you can't use the slicing method of colon. Then you use separate brackets for, the row index and separate bracket for the column index. Okay. But again, here, whatever you specify, it's not the slicing method. No. So whatever you specify will be shown. So if you write 0:2 for row, 0th row, and the second row, I mean, what I mean by the 0th row and the second row is with row number 0 and row number 2 will be displayed, column number 0, column number 1, and column number 5 gets displayed. So what could be column number 5 in this scenario? Okay, 0 is roll number, 1 is name, 2 is class, sub 1 is 3, sub 2 is 4, sub 3 is 5. Okay, so we are going to see roll number, name, and sub 3. Is that clear? So here it'll, because it's discrete or discontinuous, whatever you have specified, it'll show you. But if you're using the slicing method, remember iLoc works like the list slicing or the string slicing, where it starts at where you specified, but does not go up till the end value. Okay, this is using iLoc. Then coming to Boolean indexing. Now, the name may confuse you, but you've used Boolean indexing. Boolean indexing means condition-based accessing data. Okay, you want to know only people who are in 12C, or you want to know only who have got marks more than this. So you are specifying a condition. Now, we all know, whether it's MySQL or whether it's Python, when you specify a condition, every condition is going to evaluate either to a true or a false. And what is this true or false value referred to as Boolean value? That is what I mean by selection based on Boolean index. Is that clear? But there's one more thing that you need to note. I'll show it to you in the example. Now here it's asking you to display only those students who study in class 12C. So you want that class should be equal to 12C. So this condition, I am storing it in a variable. Let's say SR is a variable, which is storing my SR. Why did I give the name? Maybe search criteria. Okay. DF class, because I'm referring to class column, right? Equals 12C. I don't think that is difficult for you to understand. That's just like checking the condition where the class is 12C. And this condition, I am storing it in a variable called SR. Now, when I say print SR, don't think it will print the rows, the names of the people and the subject or whatever, where they are 12C. See what it prints. Can you guess what's happening when you print SR? What's happening? What does it do is it prints the entire data frame, but all the rows that satisfy the condition that you have specified, it shows it to you as true. And the rows that do not satisfy the condition that you specified, it shows to you as false. Can you see? Pooja is the first row. She's not in 12C, so it's false. Neha is in 12C, so true. Rohit is not in 12C, so false. Aman is in 12C, so true. So remember, you can store a condition in a variable, but when you display that variable, it only shows you all the row indexing, the label indexing, index label, along with the rows telling you whether that row satisfied your condition or no. It actually doesn't give me the students who are in 12C. Then what if I want that? Basically, I want that. No, I'm not interested in which row is giving me true or false. Then in that scenario, we will have to slightly, change the way we write. We write print df square bracket SR. So SR gave me false, true in this scenario. DF square bracket SR would mean you're displaying all the rows that satisfy the condition. That's row number 1 and row number 3. With respect to the, the row labels. Okay. In that scenario, when I do that, I get Neha and Aman's record. Please pay attention to the last line. The last line looks like a big thing, a big statement. I am saying either you write DF in square bracket SR, because SR has that whole condition stored in it. You don't want to use an SR, you could have written that entire condition in DF itself. So instead of writing SR, what's happening on the last line? Look at it carefully. What was SR? DF square bracket class is equal to 12C. So instead of writing SR, I wrote DF square bracket class equals 12C. Clear? So to display the data, this is what you have to do. If you just want to know the rows which satisfy the condition or not satisfy the condition, then you just display the, the value of SR. Clear? Okay. Now, this is only a single condition. You could have many more conditions. When you have more than one condition, we have learned that we're going to be, joining both the conditions using logical operators and or. But in pandas, and is written with a single ampersand sign, or is written with a single pipe sign, and not is written with a tilde sign. Now, what's a tilde sign? All of you look at your keyboards. The sign that you see before number 1 on your keyboard, is called the tilde sign. I'll show you the tilde sign here, but not in this example, in the next one. Now, can you see there are two conditions here? One is the child has to be in 12C. Second is that his marks in subject 1 has to be more than 75. So 2 conditions. Remember in series also I told you, when you have 2 conditions, each condition should be in a bracket. So DF class equals, I'm going to say DF of class. Of class would mean the square bracket. So DF of class should be equals 12C. And at the same time, and DF of sub 1 should be greater than 75. Note that each individual condition needed a bracket. That's compulsory, that's mandatory. And now I am not saying print CR. Now you might say, what is CR? Condition. Okay, that was search I wrote there. Now I'm writing condition. If you wrote print CR, it would tell you true, false, false, true, depending upon where this condition is satisfied. But I'm saying DF of CR. So DF of CR, now if you see in this example, who's in 12C? Neha and Aman. But Neha's subject 1 marks are not more than 75, so she can't be displayed. So it's only Aman whose record gets displayed. This is an example of an AND operator. Another one I'm showing you, where we make use of the OR operator. It says somebody who belongs to class 12A or 12C. So look at the condition. DF of class equals 12A, or is the single pipe sign. Where do you find the pipe sign? Just next to your enter key on your keyboard. Or DF of class equals 12B. Now when I say DF in bracket CR, that means the data frame to be displayed where these conditions result to a true. And it shows me, let's say, Pooja and Rohit. Yes, because Pooja and Rohit are in either 12A or 12C. We know how the OR operator works. We've learned it in the basics of Python programming. Okay, let me show you an example where we make use of the, let's say, the NOT operator. Okay, to select only those students who are in any other class other than 12A. So class equals 12A is not my condition, right? So one way of doing it is I write DF of class equals 12A and I put a not sign before that. Can you see the tilde sign? That's what I mean by tilde, TILDE. Okay, so that's not of this condition, and we know how not works. It negates. If the condition inside says class equals 12A, not would say that it should not be equal to 12A. Okay, now this I'm making use of the logical operator not. Could I do this without using the not, the tilde sign, and instead of that using the relational operator not equal to? Yes, I could even do this. DF of class not equal to 12A would mean the same. It's up to you. So, and you must have learned even in MySQL, the not operator can always be, replaced by the not equal to operator. Only thing is the not operator is a logical operator. The not equal to operator is a relational operator. So when I say that, can you see it gave me everybody other than students of class 12A? Okay, so I hope you have understood how to access elements of a data frame. Now, what you need to remember here is wherever we wrote df square bracket class, okay, can be replaced by df dot class. You saw how the dot operator and the square operator, I mean the square symbol works, right? So you could have written even here, df dot class not equal to 12A. Only remember, when can I not use a dot operator? If your column name consists of more than one word, then you can't use the dot operator. You will have to use the square brackets. Okay, so I hope things are clear and you have learned the various ways of accessing the elements of a data frame. One is using dot, one is using square bracket, one is using the lock attribute, one is using the iLock attribute, and one is condition based accessing. Okay, bye. See you in the next video.